Kitaholic Kits fans, how are we all? So I have a DIY traveller's notebook for you today as one of my guest designer projects for April for Kitaholic Kits. I am going to use the April main kit to make this page as well as a few other bits and pieces. So what I've done, I've used some just A4 computer paper, and what I'm measuring up now is I've grabbed a scrap piece of white cardstock I had kicking about in my stash, as well as some of the craft cardstock, which is that brown cardstock, and measuring it up to fit in the book. So I'm going to have a page with that in it and a page with the craft cardstock, just to break up the pages a little bit, and if I wanted to add a bit of mixed media, then I can chuck some gesso on it and go for it. So what I've done is, as you can see, folded those pieces in half, that A4 paper in half, and I've done my measuring and cut down some of the pattern papers from April's kit down. I'm making a front sort of title cover, and I will also have a back cover as well. So the bonus of using this sort of, I think, when you're doing your own sort of traveller's notebook, this is only ever the third one I think I've made, is when you're using this sort of thick pattern paper as your sort of outer cover, it gives it a bit more stability, whereas obviously computer A4 paper is a bit flimsy. It's limited to what you can do in regards to, mixed media embellishing. You don't want to make it too heavy, but having these on the cover, this pattern paper, it just gives that little bit more, as I said, strength, stability, that thickness. So I'm just cutting everything down to make it nice and even, because the paper obviously moves and that as you add bits and pieces to it, so you just sort of roughly cut it down. This didn't take me all that long to make initially. The finicky part is obviously the stitching on the inside. Did I edit that out? I'm not sure if I have. Can't remember when I did it, when I made it actually. Now I have trouble with the paper trimmer because it's too thick to cut when it's like this, so you have to use your scissors. You might have a better, like a guillotine that works better, that will chop the paper better, but I don't, so I just use scissors. Nope, here you go. So I'm just using some, I think it's called embroidery thread, so it's a bit thicker. I use 3 strands. You can see there, what I've got actually that you can see is an old Amy Tan like stitch kit that I brought, forever ago at Spotlight, because it was on sale, reduced, one of their clearance bin things, and grabbed it. Haven't actually used it for the purpose I brought it for. Used it more to make my traveller's notebooks. So so what I've done is, now I don't measure this, I have just gone along and poking holes in this using the mat that you saw, the orange mat you saw underneath, which is a bit soft, so you can poke through without damaging your craft mat itself. So I haven't measured them, but it's a rough, yeah, you'll figure it out. You'll see it when I've done it all. So what I do is, as you can see, just poke it in, and I think this is what you call a back stitch. I'm not a sewer, so I apologise if it's wrong, but basically going up, down through the holes. Washi tape that bit so it doesn't come through, and you can see my process here. So I will go up through the next hole and then come back. So it's sort of double taking on it. So it just makes it that bit thicker. So as you can see there, don't think I leave all of this in, I'm pretty certain. There you go, I leave it, give you the idea. I did have trouble with tying it, and not in the end when I finished. So what I've done is tied a little bit and then just washi taped it all, so it was signed, sealed, delivered, no issues. Oh, and the paper clips are there, so when I'm stitching, it doesn't move the paper too much, so it holds it in place so I can focus on the thread. So that's that part done. So now I'm going to go through and add adding this cardstock. So I add this piece in the craft cardstock to just random spots in the paper. I just flick it open, that's where I put it. Just making sure they're not back to back or anything like that. Oh no, so it isn't back to back, I don't think. It looks like it then because I flicked it. So just sticking those in, double-sided tape. I haven't pre-gessoed them, I haven't done anything with it. They are as you see them. I stuck that one in too close to the edge, so that was a problem. See, I have to fiddle with it. Doing the back cover. So just adding, so this is simply just me adding in, I'm going to partially embellish the pages. That's my plan. That way then I can just sit and, you know, document in it whenever I want. You know, if I've sitting down watching TV and I feel like being a little bit crafty but not whipping out everything, then this is what I can do. So my traveller's notebook is for the school holidays, I've decided. So we're in the middle of our school holidays now. We only get 2 weeks, the kids only get 2 weeks, should I say. So I thought this would be perfect, a perfect little notebook that we can just document just the random little things that may not necessarily need to go in their scrapbook, but might be just really cool to just have there as a bit of a documentation. Also thought it's a really cool idea for the kids, my kids. They can grab it and document their holiday fun in it. You know, so if they've had, you know, had their thoughts or what they've done or, you know, those sorts of things. So it's kind of a family affair. Probably more so going to end up being me, but that's okay. It's the thoughts there. So I've used the Kaiser Craft chipboard alphas that came in the main kit, and I contemplated colouring them, but I actually quite liked this just raw look. I thought it tied in really well with the colours of the pattern papers here. And if you're not familiar, this month's kits are around the Case of the Blahs collection by Pink Fresh Studios. We get the ephemera. What you can see in that tray is ephemera on the left, printables, the exclusive printables in the middle, and the acrylic shapes and wood veneer that come from Corbett Creations there on the right. So you can see it's a fair chockers, you know, amount of things. It's very, not so much family orientated, daily life orientated, which is really cool. It's a bit of a different, you know, collection. It's very, you know, blacks and whites and greys and browns and those sorts of colours with some pops of other colours through it. But yeah, it's very much the everyday. So I thought it would be perfect for this kind of documenting, where you're just sort of doing the everyday. Nothing in particular, nothing too exciting. This holidays is fairly quiet. But yeah, it's still something. So just doing, as you can see, cover page or book cover, I guess. Now the good thing is on this inside piece, it's thick because it's got the front cover bit. So that's what I was saying before. Some pages will be more stable than others because it's got that cover on it, as well as those middle pages that have the white cardstock and the craft cardstock. So this green stencil also was put in the kit as well. Now I debated as to whether I was going to gesso the A4 paper, so hence I didn't actually do anything. You saw me playing around with it and I've popped it to the side. I wanted to do some stenciling. I wasn't sure if I was going to use texture paste, acrylic paint, oxide inks, what. So it sits there until I decide what I'm going to do. And I think I left it to the end because I did think of putting acrylic paint, so I couldn't really work on the rest of the book if that was wet, so I sort of left it till last then. So as I said, I'm just going to go through and randomly add things to just not all the pages, just random pages, just so that they're, you know, just embellished a little bit for me, you know, or for the kids if they want to come along and write something in it, or, you know, print a photo off and pop it in, or, you know, whatever. So this is just some extra bit of scrap paper from pattern paper from the kit, a little paper bag thing. I'm just going to go through, as you can see here, this is all the die cuts that came in the pack. Now, so as you can see, I sort of made like a pocket there by putting double-sided tape on either end of the pattern paper, so then the bag could slide in and out. The only problem was I hadn't sealed the bottom, so I had to put some washi tape, and this washi tape actually was in the last month's kit, but it just adds a balance of colour to the bottom, but it sealed the bottom bit in a bit, so that way then the bag doesn't sort of fall through or anything like that if it's being moved around. Oh, I got my diamond press out. I forgot I did that. Cool. So I'm using my diamond press, which is a little mini die cut machine, which I have trouble with, just so you know, because someone else had been using it a little while ago, and yeah, sort of didn't quite use the right paper in it, and yeah. So it doesn't always work the best, but it's there and I still use it, and you know, it's still got some life in it, so it's all good. This, I think this says something like embracing the chaos or something like that. Perfect everyday life where you're just embracing chaos. And that blue tag is just from my stash, but that's perfect. I can add a little photo, or I can just add some more embellishing and journaling on the tag. You know, nothing too much, but you know, perfect. And it was a really good way to use up some bits. Like I'd already done some projects before doing this, so I had lots of bits and pieces of pattern paper left. So just instead of chucking them in the scrap box or whatever, I've used them to create this notebook and embellish some of these pages already. So this is shows. Let's try that again. So just trying to show that these kits are quite versatile. So you know, I've got the main kit, but you can also get like a pocket page embellishment kit and a mixed media. So you get 4, and you can make different things with them. So I've done a couple of different projects now. You've seen this month, and you've seen me over the last probably few months actually do some different things with my kits. This month more so probably. But yeah, it's a great way to use bits and pieces. If you've got some scraps lying around, you know, make your own traveller's notebook. And I have to say, I'm not a sewer, but this was really easy to do. So I learned how to do it watching someone else, actually a friend of mine on YouTube who made one at the beginning of the year, I think. And yeah, so, and they have all still stuck together. I made one for myself then, my stepdaughter made 2 actually, and I made one for my little girl. So, and they're all still being used, so yeah, not too difficult at all to whip them up and just have them, you know, just to document the everyday this way. You know, you don't have to do, you know, I know some people do the daily documenting with Project Life, you know, or weekly, or, you know, I don't, because I can't, I just don't get the time to do it as much as I would like, and then you fall behind and think, oh my God. But these are perfect for these little moments, these little traveller's notebooks, and as you can see, as I said, I'm using mine for the 2-week school holidays for me, or the kids to jot down notes in and things like that, if they've, you know, because sometimes they might enjoy things that you're not necessarily a part of, you know, or a game they played that day with their siblings or friends or whatever. So yeah, not necessarily going to do a 12 by 12 or pocket page spread, but you know, it's warranting worth jotting down and remembering. So I think I'm nearly at the last bit there. So I decided to use Distress Oxide through this stencil, and basically just with the ink dobber and just doing swirly patterns around. And I wasn't going to use the entire stencil, and I pretty much end up doing that, but that's okay. I can do that. It looks good. And it goes through, as you can see, really well through the stencil. And the best trick with this is to use, when you use the dobber, is just to smush it around like in a circular pattern like you would have seen me doing just then, and it makes it a much more even spread, which is great. Now I go to use that white acrylic piece that says April, but I do change my mind because I want to keep that for like either my project life as a title card, excuse me, or as something else for somewhere else in my albums. So this is kind of going to be the first page / title page, in saying that I've actually done this page since this video, and it doesn't actually be the title page, it ends up being the first page documented. And what I'll do is, I probably won't do any more videos on the Traveller's Notebook, but I'll take some photos and pop them up on the Kitaholic Kits page once this video has gone up, as well as on my blog and things, and Instagram as well, so that way you can see how it's used, how I've used it, and get some ideas from there if you're new to Traveller's Notebooks, which I am. I'm actually thinking I might get myself a fandangle, proper kind of Traveller's Notebook, just to roll with, but we shall see. So that little piece at the top says Crazy Moments. Now when I put this down, I thought, well, I'll either journal on that or write the date, or I'll leave it blank. I think I've journaled a little bit on it. I think when I used it, I only did it actually last night, which is Saturday night. When I'm doing this voiceover, it's Sunday. And I thought this, for some reason, it just didn't look right. It didn't sit right on the page the way I wanted it to. So I've outlined some of the hearts with my black pen, and then done a bit of a border around the square. And I'm finished, so I'm just going to show you through the pages I've done. So that's got the cards, white cardstock, that's got the craft one, and that's that. So thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask. But happy Traveller's Notebooking if you decide that that's what you're going to do. See you later.